Order on Monday, March 28th, 2022, 6:00 p.m. Can we get a roll call, please?
Board Amendment. Steve Skaggs.
Here.
Wayne Eric. Here. Dane Nielsen.
Here.
Jason Sampson.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
First item is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Wait a minute, we don't go vote yet.
Holy.
Was Dane and Steve?
No voting.
Ready to go?
Okay, council, please vote. Next item is public hearing. Oh, did we get, I didn't see the vote flash up there. Okay, good. That approved. Public hearing fiscal year 2022, 2023 budget. So we'll open the public hearing. Karen, did we receive any comments? Is there anyone here to speak in the public hearing on the budget? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Move to resolution number 70, 2021, 2022, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2022, 2023 annual budget.
Move to approve. Second.
Jason and Dane, discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote. Approved. Takes us to item B in the public hearings, capital improvement plan fiscal year 2022, 2023. We'll open the public hearing on the proposed 22-23 capital improvement plan budget. Karen, did we receive any comments?
No comments.
Is there anyone here to speak about the capital improvement plan? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, move to resolution number 71, 2021, 2022, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2022, 2023 capital improvements plan.
Move to approve. Second.
Barb and Sandy. Any discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, and that is approved. Takes us to item C, wastewater treatment facility phase 4 trunk sewer line. We'll open the public hearing on proposed plan specifications and form of contract for the wastewater treatment facility phase 4 trunk sewer line. And did we receive any comments?
No comments.
And is anyone here to speak in the public hearing about the wastewater treatment facility trunk sewer line? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move to resolution number 72, 2021-2022, a resolution finally approving and confirming plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Nevada wastewater treatment facility improvements phase 4 project.
Move to approve. Second.
Jason and Brian, any discussion on that? Seeing none, council, please vote. And that is approved. Takes us into consideration of bids for wastewater treatment facility phase 4, which comes with resolution number 73, 2021-2022, a resolution awarding contract for the Nevada wastewater treatment facility improvements phase 4 project.
Move to approve.
Steve and Barb? Aye. Any discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote. That is approved, which takes us into the consent agenda. Any item may be removed for separate consideration.
Move to approve.
Second.
Dane and Sandy. Any discussion? Seeing none, Counselor, please vote.
Sorry.
Approved. It takes us into the public forum, which is time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. First, there is a Story County Water Quality Monitoring Program presentation.
And I do not see Dan or Penny here. Did they?
Okay, so
I will reach out to them to see if they will be here next week. I know they had a busy schedule, but
Okay.
I will talk with them about it.
So we'll skip over that and come back if they do come. There's a proclamation in your packet for National Library Week, which is April 3rd through 9th. I won't read it all verbatim to you, but Marlis will be promoting that. And so will the library. And then continuing on the public forum, I do have a card here from Bonnie Alley. So Bonnie, we'll have you go to the podium there and state your name and address, and you can address the council.
My name is Bonnie Allen, and my address is 5306 Bradbury Court in Ames. My husband Bob and I are the proud owners of Ali's Pizza here in Nevada and Story City. Our family business will celebrate our 20th anniversary on June 1st of 2022. We have loved being a part of the Nevada community. We love our customers, who we consider family, and appreciate how they have opened their homes to treat us like part of theirs. This is my first city council meeting here in Nevada, but in light of what has transpired over the last 2 weeks, it will not be my last. After watching the last live city council meeting, I know that the design committee was allotted more than 5 minutes to speak, and I appreciate in advance the same courtesy tonight. It has come to our attention that a group of people who are on the design committee have presented their ideas for downtown Nevada. I am not new to the economic growth of the community. I serve on the board member for the Ames Visitors and Conventions Bureau, and I'm an ambassador for the Ames Chamber of Commerce. I sat in on many city council meetings, zoning and planning committees, and have been involved in welcoming new businesses through ribbon cuttings and other events. In all of my time, I have never seen such a lack of professionalism. I watched the city council meeting online and I'm very upset. In all of the council meetings I have attended over the years, it has been common practice that when speaking, we provide your name. The community started by saying that they wanted to introduce the design committee, yet nobody was introduced. Additionally, no one announced their name when they spoke, which lends difficulty for those listening to the meeting to know who is speaking on specific topics. The design committee mentioned that they had collaborative conversations and visited other communities. I'm curious who was involved in those collaborative conversations, because at no time did anyone invite us to collaborate. This is our business, and I feel strongly that we should have been involved. Main Street Nevada shared that their mission is to preserve and grow downtown as business center for the community. Ali's Pizza has shown their commitment to preserving and growing downtown by being in business for nearly 20 years. We feel strongly in Nevada. We support our neighboring businesses and are always there to give back to the community. The PowerPoint that was presented during the city council meeting did not advance in the slides. If a PowerPoint is going to be provided, it should be working. The documents that we have to go off of does not match what is presented at the meeting. Main Street Nevada also boasts that they want a community-friendly atmosphere. The documents that were uploaded to the City of Nevada website and the Main Street Nevada Facebook were just the opposite. The documents were unprofessional, disrespectful with their hand-drawn faces and negative comments, specifically calling out VQ, the funeral home, Beef Delight, Dance Studio, Ali's Pizza, El Mezcalito, and Sweet Dreams Mattresses, calling them eyesores, and that Nevada needs to focus on the eyesores welcoming people. Who qualifies them to make that determination? And is that the most professional terminology that this committee could think of using? Ali's Pizza takes immense pride in staying on the side of positivity. We do not partake in negativity at our business, on our website, or on social media. And I'm disgusted that I have to come here tonight and address your public display of negativity. It's not just us that are upset with what has transpired. I've known Roland, the owner of Sweet Dreams Mattresses, for 35 years. She's always been a business person in our communities and is high integrity. Aubrey at the dance studio reached out to the Main Street Nevada on the 15th and has yet to be replied to. There are others who have reached out concerned and yet they go ignored. Does this sound like the collaboration that you guys speak of? The moment that the city of Nevada posted or allowed a committee to post such negative and unprofessional documents crossed the line. The moment that the Nevada Main Street Director posted the negative and unprofessional documents crossed the line. Is it your goal to be negative about the businesses that help make up the foundation of the downtown? I respectfully request a public apology to my husband and I, and to the businesses that were listed so unprofessionally. Additionally, I demand that those documents be immediately removed from social media and the website. And if you cannot do so, then the public apologies can be posted alongside what you cannot remove.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
And I can start to address some of that too, and I do greatly apologize for the situation. For myself, so in the packet, there was a scanned document, and to be honest, I wasn't able to read the scan of the documents that you're talking about before the council had seen them. And so that's something I apologize for not looking deeper. And the presentation was specifically geared towards signage and towards benches and planters. So that's where my brain was too, to be honest. So I didn't hear anything about the eyesore that night. I don't want to speak to the rest of the council, but I don't think that's the message we heard. So I apologize for that, the impression from at least the city perspective. Our process in that was receiving the information. It wasn't anything we as a city, as an entity put together. Anything that though we do receive becomes public record, and that's where I'm going to rely on Aaron about the legality of the documents themselves that we're talking about. But I do want to apologize because I, for one, love your pizza. We eat there quite often. I've never once driven by your business thinking it was an eyesore myself. So I don't think that's the opinion I have, and I won't speak for the rest of the council, but I don't think that's the opinion any of them have either. We do really want to support all of Main Street and want everybody to be in it together. And I hate that this has gotten in the way of that too. So
I appreciate that. I understand that you guys, that's not what you thought or considered, but when it gets to put out on public, on the city of Nevada's website, their Facebook page, and on the Main Street, it's out. That's a grave error. And if somebody else is allowed to post that, then I would think it'd be more professional for somebody on the city council to review all the documents before they're uploaded on there. And that's really damaging to the businesses that work so hard and are, doing everything they can to stay in business, especially through the pandemic. That's really damaging. We've had numerous of people from the community reached out and let us know that that's happened. So other people have seen it and are upset about it as well as us.
And I apologize for that from our part. And I don't know if council has anything to add, but I'll open it up for them to make any comments they would like to.
I talked to a number of people involved, and I've been involved in Main Street in the past, and I assure you that no one has any negative feelings toward your business. We value you. I spent $80 there last Saturday night. So, we think you're a great business and we love you're here. I think their comments certainly could have been presented in a different way. I think that eyesore is not the right word. I think they were trying to mention that approaching downtown from that direction could use beautification. That doesn't mean the buildings. It means in general, they want that main intersection of Nevada to have something that makes it a more beautiful place, a more interesting place, and a place that people want to come to visit Nevada's downtown. So that was really the motive behind it. None of these people, they're all volunteers. They didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. So I assure you of that. It was not malicious in any way. It was just simply a mistake. I know the Main Street directors reached out to you and tried to apologize. And, I hope that you'll accept the apologies being offered.
I do. Mistakes happen. We understand that, but it was such an unprofessional, it was totally a negative connotation on it from a committee that is business, or, it's the city council. You guys have some ethics and laws.
It's a committee of the Main Street Nevada organization,
Yeah.
and the council basically accepted their proposal for consideration. And to be honest, we couldn't read those comments when we saw the presentation originally. I actually, after I heard about it, I went back and looked and went, oh my gosh, that's what that says. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a mistake.
So when can we anticipate those being taken down?
I
Still on the city of Nevada's website and.
You need to go.
Uh-huh.
And to apologize for all of you that are here tonight and those who are not able to be here tonight. Your businesses are not eyesores. They're critical to this community, and they're critical to the growth and development of this community. And we apologize for making you feel that we viewed that elsewise. It was not our intention to do that, and not our intention to have that. The businesses, they're so critical to this, and we apologize for that. We really do. We have removed documents from all our materials that featured that. We have removed those, and we will remove back everything from that. It was an unfortunate choice of words. And we're going to use this to educate our board committee moving forward and to prevent this from ever happening again. So tonight, I wanted to apologize to you all that are here tonight, and those who could not be here tonight. And I'll be reaching out to you all individually to do so too. But I want to thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Henry. Regarding the documents on city websites, we'll defer that to Aaron's guidance.
Yeah, so were they in the packet, Karen? Is that how they appeared? The
In the
documents?
packet, and I think because the slides were in advancing, Marlis may have put it in the comments of the last meeting
Okay,
so that people could see what they were presenting, but I don't know if it was the PowerPoint or the scan.
okay. So I didn't see that. They can be removed from the city website because they are in the city possession. They are subject to open records. So if a records request is made, the city would produce them, but they can be removed as long as that's administratively feasible for you. Do you handle that, Karen? Yeah, so they can be removed from the website.
Yeah, they're on the website and your guys' Facebook page.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, we'll take a look at that. Council, anybody else have anything to add?
First I've heard of any of this stuff, and I'm sorry it happened. Didn't even know it was up there. That's fine.
Well, I'm glad you brought it to our attention, because likewise had no idea. From the presentation, I did not get that.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I go to a number of the businesses that were mentioned there, so definitely appreciate all you guys for all you do.
Okay. So continuing on in the public forum, is there anyone else here to address the council tonight? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public forum, which moves us into old business, approve HR Green Professional Services Agreement Amendment number 1 for the sponsored project concept design.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Sandy and Barb, discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote. Okay, it is approved. Takes us to old business B, to pay request number 1 for wastewater treatment facility improvements phase 3 from Boomerang Corporation, the amount of $95,475.50.
Move to approve. Second.
Brian, Mason. Seeing no discussion, council, please vote. Approved. Takes us to new business. new business A, ordinance 1023, 2021, 2022, an ordinance amending the city code of Nevada, Iowa by adding chapter 158, property maintenance and residential rental code, first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Brian, Steve, discussion? Seeing none, council, please vote.
So you're adopting this tonight? No, it's only the first reading. There's 3 readings. Is there going to be more discussion about it? There can be, yeah.
If you bring me up a card, we can have discussion on the topic. And Karen probably, so Shane, if you just want to go to the podium, I think she'll get it down so you can go up there to the mic.
Rolling, but.
Brian Hines, I don't really have anything prepared. This is really the first I've seen of this. I mean, I know a couple of months ago, you guys put this big book together of all this stuff, and it looks like now you've just maybe cut into 2 parts. You took the police part out of it, looks kind of like. Okay. It looks to me like it's basically the same thing that it was a couple of months ago, minus the police part and our special schooling that we were supposed to have to do. But honestly, I looked through a lot of this stuff, and it doesn't necessarily affect me directly, a lot of it. I mean, it's going to make rents higher for pretty much everybody involved. But I've looked through this with a few other landlords, and I mean, I know when you guys had the initial deal and I asked, and a lot of you had never even read it or seen it, but it was out there. That us as landlords would be invited to participate, and here we are, and this is the first I'm hearing of it, is the other day.
We did have a public input meeting specifically for the revisions, but
Who was there?
I don't think any landlords really showed up.
That's super helpful.
We invited everybody.
I never got an invitation. No, nobody ever talked to me, and I know I talked to 2 or 3 people that night that said that I would be invited to have some sort of feedback, and I mean, this is going to affect us. I feel like we should be able to be involved with it.
And not to allow that. So
We can't fight whatever you're gonna do, but we can sure try. But like I said, this is the first I'm seeing of it, and I kind of went through it a little bit, and I do see some problems with it. But I wanted to pass along what I talked to a couple other landlords, and really what we all agreed on is if you make this hard enough for us, we'll just sell them out, and you guys can call an 800 number when you have problems with properties instead of calling us directly, because it'll belong to some, massive corporation that is buying up properties. And maybe they'll go through all this stuff, but we just aren't going to.
I think I might ask staff to talk about the changes that have been made since the first revision, what you see there, just for some background.
I guess what are you referring to? Because all of the concerns that were brought up in that original meeting, we addressed, we took out everything that there was concerns about. And the other thing that was brought up several times, but we didn't even mention it before, was the fee associated with this. And since then, we have talked about that a couple of different times. And the fee was Ryan at?
I'm right here.
20 fee is not posted in here.
It's not posted in there, but we did talk about it. Okay. But everything that we did.
Yeah. It's the same as everything else. I mean, if you guys are going to do this and you're only going to involve yourselves, I mean, that's not really community outreach.
We didn't just involve ourselves. We gave you guys the opportunity.
You said there was no landlords here.
We can't let everybody drag you here, Shane. If you have a problem with it, let's keep it easy. Show up. Make a list.
Why? I can't be here every night. That's why we hired you guys.
I know. Make a list and send it to us. If you got a problem with that document, go through and make a list and send it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all, that's really what we need. I mean, I get it, and I'm not trying to be combative. You know me, Shane. You know me.
No, I understand. I'm just saying.
But we would like to see a list because of, because I'm not a landlord, Shane, and I don't want to be one.
I understand that.
Because I've talked to you and other guy, I don't want to be one. So I can read through that And it still seems reasonable to me, but I don't know the ins and outs. So that's where we want you to come here. We're glad you came and brought us up, and we have 3 readings, so we have time. So seriously, just make us a list of or suggestions or problems or.
I'm just
what you
disappointed
think's the
that this
thing.
is my first seeing of this.
So, and I get it, we can only do so much as far as, we can't send every landlord and say, hey, come to the meeting, try to put it out there, but.
I mean, to my knowledge, it's their work session.
We've
right?
posted every single update that we've done with that since the original meeting that we had.
Yeah.
On the website and on our website, so
On,
www.cityofnevada.iowa.org.
okay, I guess I'm sorry. I thought something like this would have been more intimate with the actual landlords in town.
We did, we had several, we had 2 work sessions regarding
Right,
this.
but you said there was no landlords there.
Yeah, because we let everybody know that we're going to have a work session. In that first meeting, we discussed this.
Okay,
Okay.
but if no one showed up, is there a problem with the delivery of your notice that there's a work session?
Or the exact same way that we posted that the first time.
No, we do care.
No, I'm just saying, that's the assumption we can make. We don't.
We posted it the exact same way we posted the first ordinance that you had in your hand that night that you came up. So if
I
you
only
did
got
not,
this the other day, and that's because someone else
the
called
first
me.
time.
I know, I just got
First one.
called the other day about this.
I know, and I'm telling
So
you,
that's the first I hear of it.
you weren't here the first time that we talked
When you
about
guys
it.
had the big book with all the police stuff and stuff in there.
Yeah,
right?
so how'd you find out about
Because
that?
someone had called me about it, the night before, I think Saturday night or Sunday night was the first I had heard of that as well.
Okay.
So,
So we post all of this information on our website
Okay.
before and after the fact. And all the updates that we did, or what we discussed, we did post all that stuff. And everything that the landlords had concerns over, we addressed and we took that out. And the fees, they're not in that actual document, but they are in our fee appendix. And if you want to talk about the fee appendix on how we are structuring that fee, that would be great.
Yeah, I can.
But still, Shane, we got time. Give us the list of your concerns.
I'm just, like,
And
it would be,
nothing's perfect. I mean, we posted.
I know, we have actually put our names in to be on the list to get the minutes, week after week. And we'll get it a couple of times and then we get deleted off the list. We stop getting it. We've asked to get, I think we've asked like 3 different times that we've been put back on the list to get the minutes so that we know what's going on, and we keep getting taken off. I mean, I don't know who does
Send
that,
minutes
but
out.
it just feels like,
I don't know what a list you're talking about.
Is
We
that
don't
the
send
packet?
minutes
Is there
out.
a packet list that you send out?
Yeah, we don't.
Packets posted on the website.
Yeah, everything we post on the website, we don't send stuff out. I truly, I have no idea what list you're talking about.
I'm sorry, at one time, we used to get, like, the council packet would be on an email, and we were on the list of people that got the email of the packet.
How long ago was that?
I can't tell you, we just
I
kind of gave up.
don't think I've been here when we've done that, so.
Probably not, no, it's
Yeah.
been a while,
Okay.
we've just kind of given up on it, and then we wait to hear stuff in town and try to not overreact and show up to the meetings when we feel like it's, important to us. But I mean, I can't know everything.
Could you let me know what you actually see in there that you're having issues with, so I'm aware of it?
Yeah, I can go back through it again. I mean, I just kind of breezed through
Even
it.
if you highlight that same document.
Sure,
You
I
can have to
kind of
make
breezed
it,
through it the other night, and I know a couple other landlords have done the same thing this afternoon because it was the first they knew about it when I messaged them. But yeah, it's
tonight. It's 4 more weeks at least, because we do 3 readings every other week, so we have time.
Brian, if there are going to be material changes, though, we would have to start the readings back over. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the council is receptive to hearing additional consideration of additional revisions, you might want to wait for that first reading unless you want to keep starting the process over again.
well, I mean, could we try to get the landlords involved with this? Or even some tenants?
I mean,
Get issues that.
We honestly thought we had, so I'm sorry that didn't work out the way.
Said no one came.
Well, yes, but we asked Marlis to promote it as much as she could.
And know that it was happening.
She did multiple posts on social media. She put out the links of all the changed documents. We asked her to get it out as wide as we could.
We also informed you at that council meeting that we are going to have a work
That
session.
there was going to be, and I.
Yeah, so we assume people will be watching for that to occur.
Yeah, I don't know where to look for your stuff. I don't really mess on Facebook.
Yeah, it's.
But like I said, it was, a couple of people here had assured me that I would be able to hear about and participate in, you know, this right here, or this one. So that's just kind of where I'm coming from. I mean, yeah, if we could get together and, you know, when I talked to a couple of people before, not opposed to this. I'm not. I mean, I understand that there's probably some landlords in town that are completely opposed to anything at all because it's going to affect them dramatically. It's going to affect my tenants as it is, but I'm not opposed to it. But I thought the couple conversations I had had that night, we had talked about getting into just like some basic safety, just, you know, easing into this a little bit. We can add something to it if we need to, you know, just like our leases, every time somebody does something stupid, we have to add a line to the lease that says you can't do this. But I thought after speaking last time that I thought we were going to kind of look at, you know, some basic safety stuff, making sure our fire extinguishers work and that our smoke detectors work and, you know, that there's stairs going to our house and, you know, and trying to go from there, trying to build on that. I mean, this is like full on AIM stuff here. And I mean, there needs to be a couple of steps before we get to that point, in my opinion. I mean, that seems reasonable to me. Yes, no?
And I think the intent was to pare it down like you're describing. So I think probably going back to Brian's point, if you can find the provisions in there that you think are concerning, that would help. Maybe we'll have Ryan give his update on stuff and then you can have Josh chime in.
Sure. But I mean, and I'm not trying to put a threat out. I'm just saying that after speaking to a couple of landlords, if we start pushing through all this stuff without involving us, they had said, well, we can just sell ours to, you know, major companies or whatever, the big rental firms. And then when you guys have problems and want to get into stuff or tenants have problems, you know, they can just call an 800 number and go that route. I mean, as it is now, I get people that call me on Sunday night because their furnace quit and I go fix them. So, I mean,
Yeah, and
I think there's something to be said for that as well.
My comments at the meeting this first came up still stand. We want it to be collaborative. We want input from the landlords. I mean, that hasn't changed. So, you know, our plan was to have that work session and that'd be another way we could have that dialogue.
That'd be
So,
great. That'd be great. I just, like I said, it didn't seem like we got that.
Ryan, we'll have you,
I'll have words go first and then I'll clean up.
sounds good. And I don't know if Karen has your address, Josh, so give your name and address and she'll record it.
Which address?
Your home.
Home address, 27, Josh Wertz, 27309 620th Avenue, Nevada. I just wanted to see if we could like put a list together of emails of the people that own properties so you guys can communicate with us, because I don't watch your website. I don't go on Facebook. I don't do any of that stuff. So I heard about this an hour ago from him, and I own a lot of property in town, and yeah, we fix it up. And I mean, he's inspected our stuff, and Ray's looked at the fire sprinkler systems that I'm trying to save because it's the safe thing to do. And we're doing all the right things, but I feel like if you guys can just drive by properties and look at the integrity of stuff and you guys make the judgment call at being a contractor also, that's pretty, I don't know, there's a pretty wide berth of what you guys can say is safe and not safe by that code. And then you're forcing us to repair it when everyone else in town can have a crappy house. That's a homeowner. Why are you guys judged differently than us when we're paying all these property taxes and you guys work for us? So I feel like if you're going to do a code, then it should apply to everyone and not just the businesses and everyone else. So I wish Andy Keller was here.
A lot of ambiguity in the way this is written.
Yeah.
It goes back to a lot of the selective enforcement that we've had over the years, over numerous different things.
And I've tried to extend parking lots in areas that are city easements, and then the city's telling me that I can't control who parks in these, because even though I'm willing to put a parking lot next to my building, but it's in the city right away, I can't do that because then I can't control who parks. I mean, it's just a lot of I don't know, I spend a lot of money fixing up a lot of stuff. I just don't, I want to know where the limit is on what, like, where can you guys stop? I don't know. I'd like an email and we can put together a list of all the landlords and send it to you guys. And then I want a correspondence to my email. And I want to know when you guys are meeting and when you want to talk about it, because I feel like I hate hearing about this when I'm at home and I don't, yeah, it's my fault. I don't watch your website. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
So I'm Ryan, I'm the building and zoning official. So I understand what you're saying, Shane, I understand what you're saying. Couple things that I caught real quick. The reason that we're doing this is for the safety of your renters, right? They're paying for a service, right? As well as we're trying to protect them and their living conditions. Now, when you own a home, you have certain rights inside your walls. These renters are paying for that protection from you guys with your assets. So we're also trying to protect you guys and protecting your assets, okay? Because, you know, owning a rental unit is a business to you guys, right? So we're trying to allow a minimum standard of living because that is important to the city of Nevada. We're not talking about how pretty your, you know, rental area looks. We're talking about the safety of it. So my recommendation to the city council is postpone this first reading. I'll hold a special meeting on Monday, this next week at 7 or 8. We'll do 8 o'clock, and we'll meet here. And I will get a list of other people, of other landlords, and I'll reach out to them this week and go from there. So any questions about the resident or about the rental code itself right now from you guys?
Ryan, if you do that meeting, will you make sure that it's also posted through Marlis so that those that aren't on this list will have the opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it on our Facebook and stuff like that, but
Thank you.
I'll reach out to you guys individually through cell phone or for.
Yeah, quick follow-up. Yeah, I understand you're saying you're trying to protect the tenants,
Correct.
but also with capitalism, if you make a crappy pizza, nobody's gonna buy it.
That's correct.
If I have a crappy apartment, it's government. So some of that stuff does work itself out.
Not necessarily, and
Well, and with some of the heavy-handed stuff that's in here, you know, years ago, I really tried to push for a rental code.
Right.
I was told under no circumstances will that ever happen. And I thought, at first I was kind of angry because they wouldn't even hear it.
Mhm.
And I thought, you know what? If I have a crappy apartment, nobody's gonna rent it. And so I look around and I see crappy apartments sitting empty. So, I mean, some of that stuff does work itself out.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, you can look at a code over here in town where you wouldn't think a single soul would live, and that's where they do live, right? And not necessarily out of want, but necessity, because that's the best they can do at this time, right? And I understand the need for low-income rental, low-income housing, things like that. So
This will affect the low income rentals in town.
in my opinion, I don't believe it will. The fees that are associated with this are minute, as in $20 per unit and $5 per door, except for commercial, which is $10 per door, and that is over 20 units, 10 or 20 units.
Sure, but that's just the registration fees. That doesn't include the arbitrary repairs and maintenance that could be forced. And then what happens if there's a time delay in getting them done, and it says that you can't even collect rent from people. I mean, this is something that could take years to get everything where you want it to be or where you want it to be.
Hey Shane, did you read the minimum standards that are in the code? I think there's 25 of them.
I did read it. I mean, I read through it. I can't recall it 100% right now.
So if you read through those 25 standards, if you read through them, can you say that any of your properties doesn't have that? I mean, because it's the minimum standards and you set up there just a little bit ago about, you're talking about minimum standards and how you agree with them. Well, that's all these are. They're the minimum standards. It's to make sure there's heat, running water. I mean, those.
Drywall is not necessarily minimum.
Cracked drywall is not in there.
That is. It was in.
If any, yeah, but read more into it. It's not just like a little crack. It has to be.
But it doesn't say that. It just says.
No, it says faulty weather protection, meaning that the outside can get in.
Yes, so therefore, that's a cracked drywall would not be.
And again, I'm not opposed to having smoke detectors, railings on stairs, things like that. But I feel, there's a lot of properties in town that aren't even close to what this is.
You're right, and that's why we want to put one in place.
This could take years for some of these people to get these properties through. And then they're gonna, if they can't, they will sit vacant in the meantime until they are either sold or condemned or what. I don't think you guys are appreciating the amount of time it could take. Last time Andy said there's something like 1,600 rental units in town.
There's not.
Between houses, apartments.
Right, give or take.
Units, something in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
First of all, if you spend 2 hours on each inspection, that's your entire year. That doesn't have anything to do with your building inspections and classes and other things that need to be done. I'm just saying that I don't think we're fully aware of what this is going to cost, time and. And again, if you guys don't want empty property, this is gonna force empty properties. But again, I'll let it go. If you guys are gonna table it for tonight, and if all of us landlords could get together and try to come up with something that's a little more reasonable, and I'm totally okay with stepping into this over a couple of years, but I think you run the risk of running a lot of apartments empty. And then what do we do for our, and the ones that'll run empty are the ones that are truly the low income. And if they're empty, where do those people go then?
Right.
And so direction I'm hearing is we have a recommendation for staff to do an additional input session with landlords on this section. We'll ask the folks involved to send feedback probably in advance so you can review it if possible.
Yep.
So if you have specifics, I think that would help for staff to review before that meeting. Council have any thoughts about that? I think we did have a motion in a second, so we'll probably have to.
You'll have to amend their motion, table until the next meeting. Brian and Steve.
So you want me to retract my motion first and then make a new motion? Probably.
Just amend your motion to table it till the next meeting.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to table the new court ordinances till the next meeting.
Steve?
I'll second that.
Okay, council thoughts.
No, I don't think we're in a big time crunch, so I don't think tabling it hurts anything to try to get it right the first time.
Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, council, please vote.
We don't have red lights.
Oh, IT guy, that's for sure.
They amended it, so we'll do a roll call.
Okay.
Hanson,
Aye.
Skaggs,
Aye.
Eric. Aye. Mittman,
Aye.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Sampson.
Aye.
That'll come back next time. Thanks for the input on that. Takes us to B, ordinance number 1024, 2021, 2022, an ordinance amending the city code of Nevada, Iowa by adding chapter 48 mobile food vendors, first reading.
Move to approve.
Second that.
Brian and Steve. And we did have some mobile food vendors at the workshop, but if there's other mobile food input, we can take that now.
And I think Ray's inspected a couple last week anyway, didn't you, Ray?
Yeah.
Didn't I see some you did some in the last week or two?
Yeah, there were a
Yep.
couple of those planning on being here May 14th because they wanted to get ahead of the inspections.
Council discussion then? Seeing none, council, please vote. That's approved, which takes us to report, starting with Jordan.
All right, last week we had leadership, we had human services, talk more about that. I see that Brenda provided a draft for the portion we discussed, so that's great. February meeting, Pizza Palooza, which we'll continue to meet weekly for that. Another wastewater treatment plant, and then interchange 30 and the overpass.
Council, anything for Jordan? I don't have anything in addition to what he reported on, so we can go to council reports.
Nothing else.
Okay, then we'll go back to some staff, but we'll give Brenda an opportunity to give any updates from NEDC.
Actually, quicker than I thought you would. A couple things from the Dryer, Nevada Economic Development Council. A couple things tonight, just a reminder for your calendars. May 6th, we'll be doing the bio dedication event. Then we'll actually start at 11 o'clock with tours, which will be very interesting. And at noon, we'll have remarks. So I know it's in the middle of a work day, and so I want to give you as much notice as possible to join us for that event. You all make various connections in and around the community. And also we have folks who are out watching tonight's council meeting. We're hosting a career fair actually in person on April 13th from 10 to 2 at the Meadows Library with Workforce Development. So if you can hearing people saying they're looking for workforce, I'd love to talk to them about participating in that career fair on April 13th. And finally, we're moving through the process of actually releasing a number of official press releases on projects that have been happening here in Nevada. And so one of them that'll hit the media tomorrow is the announcement that On Track has completed the facility in the West Industrial area. So you've got a copy of the official release going around. I'm sorry, that looks like a dump in the paper, Brian, but that's the official release that'll hit the media tomorrow. I have shared that with the NEDC board. So stay posted. I've been bugging Mayor Barker for comments, and so we've got a lot of good news on a lot of things that have now materialized that we want to make sure we're promoting. Do you have any questions for me tonight?
Yeah, middle school newspaper got the jump on you. They released theirs today, so. Yeah.
The middle school newspaper.
Yep.
Uh-oh, competition.
I'm trying to figure that one out. I'm trying to figure out who would have the right connections. You never know. So yeah, if you've heard from your 6th, 7th, or 8th grader of the news, I'm sorry, council, that they beat me to it. So my intention is that the NEDC board and you all would have a chance to read it here and not on the middle school newspaper page. But anyway, I love it that they're that eager for news and understand this is a beautiful facility. So if you've not went out and drove by it, please do so. Thanks.
Before I forget, Henry, do you have anything from Main Street?
This week we had the training conference, and that took place in the 6th Avenue corridor of Des Moines and then Valley Junction. And that training was focused on policy, but also marketing materials and publications. And then last Tuesday, we had a great session of Leadership Nevada, and that was the Nevada, history of Nevada, and then a joint session in the afternoon with Ames Leadership. And that was a simulator we worked in partnership with Ames to put together. And that was also featuring Child Serve. And so a great simulator and a great opportunity to allow for some networking between both those programs. And we have had some great feedback from that session.
Any updates from Joe?
Yes, sir. Good evening. I'm gonna. What's that?
Your address too. I'll speak mostly to the streets. We're starting with concrete, getting busy now. We got 5 or 6 passes with that. The sweeper's been out in the town. We need to start running sanitary sewers and yeah, just doing our daily maintenance. So, any questions?
Are there gonna be any other closings besides Jay in the near future?
When they
for
gonna
the
do,
street painting?
when they doing that other one? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's got
Thank
all
you.
that info. Good.
Thanks, Joe. Aaron?
Hello, so the library is finishing up their Read Across Iowa Story Walk that has been going through Main Street, and we had a bunch of kids at the beginning of spring break, and then the weather turned kind of cool again, and so it's going to stay up until April 2nd, and so we encourage people to check that out. We are also kicking off our Midwest Author Series for the grant I've talked about several times. And we were featured in the Nevada Journal and the Ames Tribune the past week with information about that. And so we're excited. And then what we're really excited for that's starting this week is our seed library will be debuting. Seed libraries have become kind of a trend with public libraries. And so we had received some state money from a federal grant that the state received last year, and we had some leftover money. And so Kathy Sokol has done a tremendous job, along with a volunteer. We have Michelle Flynn, and they have put together a seed library. We are licensed by the Department of Agriculture. We will be opening on April 1st, and so it will be directly behind our copy machine in our library. And I just wanted to read our purpose statement for the Seed Library. The NPL Seed Library is a nonprofit seed sharing resource open to everyone in Nevada and the surrounding Story County area. Our seed library offers a collection of heirloom and homegrown vegetable, herb, and flower seeds at no cost. We strive to provide education about growing and saving seeds through in-person programming and written materials. NPL Seed Library is open whenever the library is open, and you do not need to have a public library card to use this resource. There are some limits and procedures and stuff for people to go through. Kathy is having her kickoff event on Wednesday night. Space is limited, but there are, I believe, a few seats left if people are interested in registering to learn more about our seed library, seed starting, and the Nevada Community Garden will have some representatives there as well to talk about how people can get plots in the community garden. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Just a couple of things. I just want to say that Allie's Pizzas really supported our fire department. Our rehab techs have a direct line to them whenever we have a big fire. They're really quick to support our department. So we certainly appreciate that and hope that your service in our community continues. So appreciate that. The other thing I was going to say, I really didn't want to jump in the apartment fray. And I know that you tabled the item, but I want you to know that I've never been to Shane Heinz's property that has been any of these conditions I'm about to describe. I've never been to Josh Wertz's property where any of these conditions I'm about to describe occurred. So I think they're very selective in their properties that they maintain. And I think living in our town does have a benefit that it's their reputation that is at stake whenever these conditions exist. But they certainly don't occur in their properties. But I've been to apartments where feces was coming up the drain, where there's apartments that are vacant because there's black mold, that the ceiling has, the plaster and stuff is falling in. I've been to apartments that have maggots on the floor and food. I've been to apartments where there was completely covered with soot because there was no heat and they were using the space here. I've been to apartments where the landlord wouldn't fix the heat and they used the oven for heat. I've been to apartments where water continued to drain and wouldn't shut off. And there was nothing we can do to make them fix that in our current ordinances. So, I mean, we could go after health and safety and work with the county like we do. There's nothing specifically that tells them. You know what they say? I'll be there on Monday, I'll try and find you a stove. So in one case, they took a stove that was broken and they took it out and they put another broken stove in the apartment. And there was nothing we could do to stop them from doing that. Okay, so to tell that there are, every landlord in our community is a good actor is not true. Now, I will say again, I've never had that problem in Shane Heights' property, Josh Wertz's property, Andy Kelly's property, and the folks that live around town. Where we deal with problems is when an absent landlord lives in West Des Moines and lets his apartment go completely crap, and then we have to force them by stronger letters and stuff like that to take action. So that's been our frustration. When you have a 48 unit complex that is allowed to deteriorate in peaks and valleys, and the only way they take action is when they think we're really actually going to file charges on them. So to that degree, I appreciate what Shane and those folks have said, and I get that it's frustrating, but boy, come to our world where people are trying to get literally feces from stop running into their apartment, and that's not acceptable in my world.
Absolutely not.
So, thank you.
I don't disagree.
Tim?
Give you a quick update this evening. I received an email today regarding our legacy grant application to Prairie Meadows. Currently, their review committee is reviewing all the applicants. It does sound like they have quite a number of applicants. The top 20 applicants will be invited down to make presentations before the board of directors in Des Moines. We'll find out on the week of April 11th if we've made that cut to be in the top 20. If we have, we'll be chosen to go down the following week, either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, to make a presentation to their board. So just want to keep you in the loop on that, let you know where we're at. Holding out hope that our application was strong enough to make the top 20. So I'll let you know. Other than that, over the next couple of weeks here, we're going to start to turn water on outside in the parks, weather permitting, obviously. There are some areas where we're going to have to turn it on just because of activities and events going on, but we'll do our best to try and heat those areas on a temporary basis as best we can. So outside of that, spring and summer is right around the corner. It's kind of go time for us. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Got your presentation already?
I don't. Yep, started thinking about it today after I got the email. So
Lights, music, performers.
I'm not that
Also, they're
good.
gonna make us wear costumes again.
Yeah, well, I was gonna leave that for a later date, but since you brought it up, so.
You keep saying it's the last time, and then it's not the last time.
It might not be, no, so, and we have up to 30 minutes, so.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That, huh?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Don't shave your beard.
all right, very good, thank you, folks.
thanks, Tim.
So very much in the report, staffing, our two news officers are done with their field training, so they'll be out on their own next week. So we haven't been this fully staffed in a while, which is, we're all glad to see. And then we're still working on hiring the one spot we have left open. We're in the hiring process right now and see how it goes. So hopefully we can get it filled, have them on the street by next year. That's all I got, unless you guys have any questions. Thank you.
It's getting to be nicer out, obviously, permits are coming in quite a bit, so it's always nice to see. I'll touch on the rental code stuff. April 4th is a Monday, 8 PM. And I'll reach out to the landlords that I know here in town. I'll talk with Shane afterwards and get some other names and stuff like that. If we have to meet again, or if they feel that they would like to meet again after this first meeting, then we'll do that at a later date, and then I'll bring back some recommendations from them, and I'll present that to the council at possibly the next council meeting or the next one, depending on how this first meeting goes, but I will let you know right away. The other thing I'll touch on is the road closure on J. That's my bad. I didn't email the council about it. The road closure is for, I was planning to come back and repaint the lines. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the majority of them have chipped out and stuff like that. So with our contract that we have with our downtown project, they're required to come back and fix them. And so I've been in contact with them as well as Construct, who's heading up the project. And we were going to do 5th to 6th on J and wipe out those spots and repaint them last week, as well as between 6th and 7th on J. Letters and face-to-face meetings with all the businesses took place. None of them were surprised. What we were all surprised about was the weather. So obviously putting down paint outside in the rain is a no-go. The big thing that affects it is the cold weather. That's why the road is still closed as of right now. 6th to 7th is back open because they weren't able to paint right away. Tomorrow, hopefully the weather will be better and they'll be able to paint that, which it'll dry overnight, and Wednesday it'll be back open. So I do apologize about not emailing you guys because we didn't even post it online either. I just went and spoke to all the business owners and stuff like that. So they were aware of it. Any questions or anything?
Are going to be any other roads done?
Oh yeah, every single one of them.
Okay.
So that'll all be
warning before.
Yeah. Yep. So we're not going to be shutting down. This is the largest portion that we're shutting down at one time to get that repainted. Everything else will be half blocks and smaller. And those will be, every business owner will be notified of that before it takes place. So it's just tough to do with Iowa weather. It's not easy.
That's what it was, but.
Yeah. Yep. So. What's that?
6th Street.
Yes. And we'll be getting half of 6th Street at a time, east or west side, and then one block sections. So it won't be taking up the majority of 6th Street. There will still be travel along there.
How long does at least one anticipated closure be?
So everything that I've discussed with them, it'll be about 3 days. They'll grind it off using water jets, and then they'll let that dry overnight, prep the surface again, and applicate the next day, allowing for cure time and dry time the next day. So it's a thicker, it's more of an epoxy, and it has the beads reflective pearls in it. So it takes a little bit longer for it to dry, being as thick.
Different from what they used last time?
It'll be the same material.
It'll last longer?
I hope so, and I know they do too, because they're gonna have to come back every year if they don't. So.
They didn't properly prep it before. That's why it didn't last very long.
There was a lot of concrete dust in there that adhered to the paint like it should, but then it drew it out of the cracks. So, yeah. Questions? All right, thanks, guys.
Aaron?
With your approval tonight, we'll get the budget certified and all taken care of, taken to the county. Working on amendments. I also attended a webinar for the ARPA reporting, and they've made it a little easier, so that's good news. It's due by the end of April, our first round, and then it's yearly after that. And Working on some development agreements with Jordan and yeah, if you have any questions.
Engineering. Looks like we got Mike and Larry.
We did have a pre-construction meeting for the 2022 street improvements project. And the contractor has decided to split that into two distinct phases. First phase will start May 1 and include the overlay on Lincoln Highway on the west side of town and 11th Street between U Avenue and W Avenue. That work should last about a month for those two segments. They have a lot of county work that they're going to be doing in the midsummer months. And so that probably about August, they'll come back and do that portion of S14. And that will take about a month at that time. So we expect to have everything wrapped up by early fall. And that's all I have to have this evening. And if you've got some questions. Here's my voice. I'm on the downhill side of a pretty good head cold.
Aaron?
You're on the downside or the upside?
I'm on the downside.
Oh, thanks.
It's a good side.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm gonna stay on the other side. Yeah.
I don't have anything this evening.
I have nothing additional. The wastewater plant project is continuing on.
And then I will point out, we have a work session after the adjournment about vacant property code and parklet. So if there's anybody that interests in those, stick around for that. We also do allow Zoom participation. So if you go to the city website and find the meeting agenda, the Zoom information is on there for anyone watching online that would like to be able to provide input our direction. So that's what's happening after we officially adjourn this meeting as we open up the work session for the next ordinance review.
I'll move to adjourn.
I think we can just stay on. I'm looking.
So
at the-
Dane and, do we have a second, Jason? Okay. Yeah, and it's the same Zoom link, so people already on Zoom can stay on, but if they're on Facebook, they won't be able to provide input unless they go to Zoom. Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Okay, so 5-minute break, and I think Marlis is gonna come make everybody smile pretty.
Marla.
By the one I would- I looked at my. Yeah.
Spent a lot of.
We have to encourage you to get like, good, like, half the meeting.
I don't think it wants to, it doesn't want to work.
I can see it.
Okay.
Oh, it's.
Feel like it's got by Yuddy.
Proposed order.
Yeah, Karen, you can probably go ahead and unmute the mic and then we can hand it over to Jordan to run the work session.
Got in there. I don't want to open. Here's the same thing.
Click and follow. Right. Cannot open the specified file. Here we go. Isn't that where we were when we?
All right, we're here to talk about the vacant property code. Due to some issues that have occurred in other communities, we wanted to basically introduce this and see if we could prevent some of the catastrophic things that have happened in other communities for this community.
Documents library?
So I guess at this time I can ask if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything along those lines.
No.
Speaking to us, council.
Both.
Yeah, so if you have any public, we'll have you go to the microphone just so it captures it on the recording, but yeah, it's open for public input too.
Could you elaborate on the catastrophe, just so I can
Yeah,
understand?
so maybe we'll have staff kind of walk through what the code is intended to do and how, so everybody's on the same
I'm
page.
not with them at all. I don't have access to what my friends are seeing. Or I don't seem to be able to find what they're seeing.
right now, that's what we're doing.
No.
Doesn't want to bring it up.
All right, so.
Ray Reynolds, Fire Chief. I think the biggest thing from the fire department perspective, if you look at Baltimore, St. Louis, and some of the other properties, granted, those are huge cities, but they also have 18,000 abandoned buildings in their city. We've had, in the last 3 months, we've had 6 firefighters killed because of vacant building fires. The ability, whenever a vacant property doesn't have utilities or anything like that, and there's a fire that's inside there, one could probably with a 99% accuracy predict that somebody lit that fire inside the building, whether it's for heat, spotting, vandalism, arson. But that generally our credo is to save lives. So if there's a person inside a vacant building, they're 9 times out of 10 going to risk that entry into that structure and try and exact a rescue. Sadly, because of the vacant properties being allowed to go to a dilapidated condition, floor soggy, roof soggy, just the elements of nature, what we're seeing is that these structures are not structurally sound, and we see a lot of collapse, early collapse, fire behavior, and just unsafe properties to walk into. We're not immune. I think Brian and I counted about 30 properties that we're aware of. People in the neighborhood are starting to tell us a little bit more about vacant properties. But I think the intent is to know where those vacant properties are and to maintain a little bit of, we shouldn't let a house go completely to collapse before we were able to do something about it. And so that's kind of the perspective from the fire. I think a vacant building is a dangerous building for the fire department. And I support an ordinance that will let us track them and keep them secure and maintain a minimum standard of structural stability. Most of the vacant properties that we're dealing with, you can stand in them and look up and see the sky. So inhabitability is probably not very likely. So that's kind of why we're addressing this.
Thank you, Ray.
Number was nationally, 5 or 6 firefighters, you said?
Yeah, there were 3 in Baltimore, 1 in St. Louis, and then I believe the other one was somewhere in that Denver area, but yeah, the most recent tragedy was in Baltimore. The first engine crew came in, went through the front door, and the second floor collapsed in on them. And so there was actually a person in the building that went out. that lit that fire. I think, you say that what's the likelihood of that happening here? I can tell you of a property that's a duplex where the neighbors called and said, we see people go in there all the time and squat. They just go through the door and hang out there. We do find drug paraphernalia. In fact, in that property we did call the owner, and they attempted to secure it, but you know as well as I do, if somebody knows the property's vacant and they're currently on the streets and it's approaching winter, that's a pretty good target to at least have a roof over your head, no matter what the conditions are. So, but we do see squatters that go into abandoned properties, and one has to look at the Academy Circle, all through the years of people going in the building and vandalizing and unsafe buildings that I think trying to protect the public from going into places like that is also important.
Primary concern that protecting the public from going in there is public's responsibility.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, my primary concern is the firefighters.
Right, so that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes, that's trespassing there, already.
Yeah. If the landlord is vacant or absent, he doesn't know. And people like this particular duplex, like at that point, he didn't care. People called them and told them, hey, there's people going into your building. Are they supposed to be in there? And, it wasn't a high priority for him.
Well, if he said it was okay, then they could go in there if he had his permission.
I don't think he said that. Yeah.
I said, if he said that,
Yeah.
is it still a problem?
They don't have power, they don't have utilities, if they're up to nefarious. If they're looking for a place to go do drugs, then I still think it's a public problem.
Your primary concern is for firefighters.
Mine is for firefighters. Vacant buildings are dangerous for our firefighters.
Yeah. So that if they or dilapidated.
I would say both.
But in here, if you look, I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to look at the code, but there's a few stuff in here that it's 155 for the vacant property standards. So, like Shane, your house that's right over here on the corner, you don't have any waste, you don't have any debris, all your windows are replaced and new.
And it's under a valid permit too.
Yeah, so that wouldn't technically be applicable to that. We're going after the properties that are an issue in our community that can cause